Hey, optics guys, just wanted to give an update. I know I was gonna post something yesterday, just didn't get around to it. Be honest with you guys, I've been a little sick. I'm gonna be doing office hours today though, and I am gonna post an assignment for you right now, but I wanted to make a video to answer any questions you might have before you do the actual assignment. So with that being said, I'm gonna screen share. And when we screen share, I'm gonna pop over to two documents. So the first one, this is about the curve generator, and which everyone's done. So there shouldn't be too many questions on it unless you haven't done curve generator at all. That means you haven't been in class. Side note to all this, and I hope people understand this. What we've been told is that we can't use any work that we post against you. So if you don't have access to this, or you can't do this, or you're struggling to do this on your own in this setting, it can't hurt you. However, if you do the assignments that I post and give to you, it can help you. It can help your grade. So for a lot of people that maybe struggled a little bit, or their grade was somewhat borderline, this is a way that you could boost your grade for this marking period, and then we sort of will figure out as we get into the fourth marking period what will happen from there. This is interesting, weird times, and I think that we're all just making it up as we go. The last time we had like a global pandemic was like 100 years ago, right? So we are in unprecedented territory right now. And so just stick with me. I'm not going to post anything that's too crazy or insane. Obviously, I can't get in the lab physically. They won't let us in the building. So I can't even make videos in terms of like getting hands-on stuff to show you guys. So first assignment that you're going to get posted that no one's seen, it's about the curve generator. It's about nibs. So the first question here is about alignment. Now, what I will say, I'm going to give you some answers in this video. It's up to you whether or not you pay attention and you write the answers down, right? So the first question is asking about alignment of the curve generator tool. Now remember, the curve generator ring tool that cuts the glass, that's a brass ring tool. It moves in the y-axis, the y-axis. Remember, in a 3D model, up and down is Z, left and right is X, and forward and back is Y. It's a little bit different than a math graph that you see in 2 dimensions. This is a 3D model. So for this first one, remember, for a concave lens, meaning you're digging a bowl into the lens and you're making an inward curve, the back of the tool, so right here, the back of the tool needs to be centered over the glass. So this little gray piece right here is your glass. This is your ring tool. So this one, concave. Over here, the front edge is over the center of the glass. That's for convex. Remember, you're scraping, you're carving out the edge of the glass to make a outward curve or a dome shape, right? So now I'm gonna clear that. I'm gonna scroll down. Number 2, nibs are caused by misalignment in which axis? What axis was I just talking about? The y-axis. Very good. Now the nibs. Now the nibs are something we talked about. I'm going to give you a little reminder on how you diagnose a nib. Remember, there's 2 things we look for when we have a nib on a curve generator: the size of the nib, how big, diameter, right? And the swirl pattern. So the first question asks you, You have a convex lens, you create a nib that's 2.2 millimeters in diameter. It says, how far is the y-axis out of alignment from the center of the lens? This is a little tricky, but not really. Remember, if you create a nib that is 2.2 millimeters in diameter, right there, 2.2 millimeters in diameter, right? 2.2 millimeters in diameter means that you've created a circle. How do I get rid of that circle? I have to cut it in half. So what's half of 2.2? Get the calculator out. No calculator needed. You're way smarter than that. Half of 2.2 is 1.1. So the y-axis is out of alignment by 1.1 millimeters. That's it. Very easy, right? If I now scroll down to these, number 4, it says look at the following swirl patterns created by a convex lens. What do we do with the swirl patterns on a convex? There's 2 ways. If you trace the swirls and they go in front of the nib, like this one goes in front, that means that your tool, so let's say my hand right here is the lens, here's the tool, okay? If my swirls are in front, I need to bring my tool forward to get in the center of my lens, right? Now, if the swirls wrap around, like this one, they wrap around the nib, that tells me that my tool is too far forward and I need to move it back to cut that nib in half, right? So then, once I've given you all that information, I'm gonna clear all my drawings so that way I can scroll down. Number 5 says you generate a concave lens. You notice you have a nib that's 1.4 millimeters, and it appears that the swirl patterns stop in front of the nib. Now, 2 key things. Number 4 was asking about convex lens. Remember, concave, opposite. Concave is opposite. So if this were concave and you had swirl patterns that were in front, you'd want to move the tool forward. And if you had a concave swirl pattern where the swirls were wrapping around, you'd move the tool backwards. It's opposite. However, the move is not. How much you move is not. So for number 5, it says you have a concave lens. You notice you have a nib that's 1.4 millimeters in diameter. Right there, everyone should know how far I have to move this. I take that number in diameter and I cut it in half. Half of 1.4. Ooh, might need a calculator for that one. No, you don't. You're smarter than that. Don't use a calculator. 0.7. Half of 1.4 is 0.7, right? So that's your move. Now, which way do we go? It appears that the swirl pattern marks stop in front of the nib. So it says first, how far do you move the tool? Half of 1.4 is 0.7. Second, which direction, forward or backward, does the tool need to move? Let's think about this. Here's my lens again. And I literally can't get into the school to give you guys like an actual ring tool and an actual lens. So I have to use my hands. Maybe I'll come up with pictures later, but I wanted to get this posted for you guys. So here's my lens, here's my tool, but I'm cutting concave, right? So actually I should do this with my, well, let me do lens here, tool here, right? So this is my tool. Remember, this is the back edge of the tool, wants to be over the center of the lens, right? So if my swirl marks are in front of the nib, so let's say the nib's in the middle and my swirl marks are in front, that means my tool is too far forward. I have to move it back to cut it up, to cut it in half, okay? Convex is opposite. So that's the first part of this assignment. I'm gonna minimize this screen and I'm gonna pull up the second part. This one, the second one, when you get into a groove, it'll be much easier. So these are word problems. Every word problem, it's gonna tell you it's got a nib. What do you do with it, right? So number 1, you have a concave lens. You notice your nib is 3.6 millimeters in diameter. It appears the swirl marks stop in front of the nib. It's very similar to the question I just asked you. What's half of 3.6? That's your move. I'm not gonna tell you right now, but that's your move. Then, which way do I go? It's concave. Identify the fact that it's concave right there. Let me annotate that. So it's concave. You have a 3.6 millimeter nib. Swirl marks stop in front of the nib. Three pieces of information. If you told me and I couldn't see the nib physically, and you told me, Eckert, I got a concave lens, I have a nib that's 3.6 millimeters in diameter, and the swirl marks are in front of the nib, I'd be like, oh, easy, I gotcha. Here's what you do, right? You tell me which way you move. I'm not going to tell you the amount of the move. It's too easy. You should be able to come up with half of 3.6. But if a concave is in front of the nib, you're going to move the tool back, okay? Number two, you have a convex lens. You notice your nib's 1.0 millimeters in diameter. Please tell me you know how to divide that by 2. And the swirl marks wrap around the nib. So here's my convex. Swirl marks are wrapping around the nib. So that means my tool's too far forward. I got to move it back. Okay? You're going to go through all these. You're going to go through, there are 5 questions that are word problems, and then there are 5 more questions that you have pictures. You don't have to draw anything. You just have to tell me by writing if the tool has to move forward or back. This is going to be in Google Docs. I know there's a way that you can actually write on the actual doc with your cursor or your mouse. Just type it, just type in your answer into the doc and then turn it into me when you're done. And that should be good. I will see a lot of you guys for office hours. I'll try and do 2 assignments a week. That might not always be feasible, but I'm going to try and do 2 assignments a week, but at least 1 going forward. And then I'm going to do office hours at least once a week, but probably twice, depending on how today goes. So for those of you who plan on joining me for office hours, I will see you at 10 o'clock. It's 9 a.m. right now, so I'm going to post this as soon as I stop the recording. So talk to you guys soon. If I don't see you, I hope that you're healthy and your family's all doing well, and you are keeping busy during all this craziness. So talk to you guys soon. Bye.